Good afternoon. I think we're going to get started here. We still have a few more people that should be making their way in, but we are running into lunchtime. So, if you haven't met me before, I'm Janelle Miller. I'm the current president of the Colfax Chamber of Commerce, and welcome today to the monthly lecture series. So today we're going to have Hanigan speaking, who's the new CEO of the hospital here, and we are very thankful for them to host us as well at the Whitman Hospital Medical Center. Before we begin, I'd like to just open up to everybody here and maybe just give everybody a chance to introduce themselves and their business and give any information about any upcoming events or announcements that you have to make. So, Dave, you want to start?
I'm Dave Winstead. I'm the branch director for Gentiva Home Health in Pullman.
And I'm Kathy Clark, no longer the chamber president. I'm supposedly retired.
Barney Buckley, City of Colfax. Also, my wife's not here today, but we're going to take Shape for Life health coaches. And a third had an announcement coming up in a couple of weeks at the airport. EAA 328 fly-in and pancake breakfast. Rotary serving the breakfast, expecting lots of airplanes and lots of people and lots of fun. So 8 o'clock Saturday morning is when it starts at the airport.
I'm Denise Fowler. I'm the Chief Nursing Officer for Whitman Hospital.
Jim Heilsberg, CFO and other things at the hospital.
Mimi Ellis, HR Director here at the hospital. Robin Johnson, TikTok. Tammy Lewis, Team Washington Real Estate with Carmen.
I'm Carmen Bruyere, and I'm a real estate agent with Team Washington.
Christy Kirkpatrick with the library.
I'm Al Kirkpatrick. I'm a dentist here in town.
Thank you all. So for chamber events coming up, just a few announcements. The ice cream social at the Perkins House is going to be the end of this month, Sunday the 28th from 1 to 4. And we are going to have a table there, so any businesses that want to bring in some marketing materials for us to pass out, please do. Bring it to the office, and we will make sure it gets taken out to the ice cream social, and make sure that you also come to the ice cream social because it is a lot of fun. Concrete River Festival is coming up, July 10th through 12th, and we do have discounted advertising for chamber members, so if you want to do an ad in the special Gazette issue, make sure you call the Gazette by the end of the week and just tell them that you are a chamber member to get your 25% off discount. August, we're going to have the Grandmother's Appreciation. It's going to be a high tea this year, so in lieu of our normal luncheon, that will be an appreciation for the Grandmother's Thrift Shop. And high tea. So if anyone wants to sponsor tea or bring in tea sets or even sit in, please contact us because that is going to be very fun. It's going to be August 20th. And that will be it. This is our last luncheon for the next couple of months since there's these big events going on. So after the fair in September, then we will start resuming again our luncheon series. All right. So without further ado, I would like to hand things over to Hank Hanigan and let you hear what is in store for the future of Whitman Hospital.
Thank you very much. She's not going to stay with me?
Support?
Exactly. Well, good afternoon, and thank you for coming today. I do appreciate it. My goal today is to give you more information about your hospital, and I'd actually like this to be fairly informal. So if you have questions at any time as I'm going through things, just please interrupt and ask, and I'll do my best to answer. Otherwise, I'm going to point to the back of the room and ask the people who have been here longer than me to answer stuff. Is that fair, guys? All right.
Oh. No.
is interesting, Jim. This happens almost every presentation involving the public. You notice that? Do you have any idea how to do that? If not, we'll just try and ignore it.
No, I don't have any.
Well, can we do our best to ignore that?
Oh, yeah.
Good.
Maybe.
As long as it doesn't start.
Yeah. It logs off by itself.
Yeah, we're
I don't know if you can advance your slides without showing.
Oh, this is just beautiful.
So let me just restart it. Hopefully you're gonna get past this.
This is what I love about
Technology.
Yeah, funny thing is I came down here about 11, went through the whole thing because I don't like this stuff to happen. Wouldn't you know? It was too early. I didn't meet the window.
This is the outlet portion of our program.
So I guess while we're waiting, is there any questions in general about the hospital, or anything you've been wanting to know or wanting to say, or what have you? I'd be interested. Anything you want to make up? Just keep conversation going.
What's the status of the old portion of the building? I understand remodeling was supposed to be done. Is that ongoing, or is that completed, or what stage were you at?
That's a great question. You know, so that was a major upgrade to really to improve the facility, to bring it up to a better standard efficiency-wise and so forth. And Jim actually was in charge of that and knows a lot more of the detail. But my understanding that work is complete, and we have utilized some of the space for administrative offices. We don't have anything going clinically there right now, and I would say the immediate future doesn't have that as our plan. But one of the things that just occurred within the last month is we actually had a strategic planning review meeting downtown at the library, actually. Thank you, Christy. And which went very well. And there are a number of different programs that we're going to be looking at into the future, which could potentially involve that space. But right now, it's so far out there, and our committee is really just being formed. And so I can't even give you a timeline on that. So it's not being real efficiently used at the moment. How's that? Good question though. Any other things just in general? Are we getting close? We can start my tap dance here in a minute.
Yeah.
No, I promise I won't do that. All right, well, we'll just wait here. We'll do the bonus.
Well, Hank, why don't you tell us about yourself and your history and what you're thinking of the blues so far?
Oh, sure. So I came in October of 2014, so I'm really new, and I've learned that I'll be new for many, many years to come. I'm good with that. Honestly, my first impression of Colfax was, to be very honest with you, when I drove into town, because I hadn't been here in probably, I don't know, I think I went through here once to go to Washington State for a party or something, to be frank. But was like, wow, you know, is this community really in a place that can even sustain a hospital? I mean, because when you're coming in, what you see is closed building, and then you see some that are open, but then you see some more, and then you look at the condition that they're in, and you're just thinking, wow, where's the new construction, and where's the money being put back into the community? And I just didn't see it at first. But I'm like, well, you know, we'll just see. And I kept driving and came up to the hospital, and I got up here and I was like, oh my goodness, I can't even believe the facility that this community has. It really blew me away. Because I came from Whidbey Island, where I was a chief operating officer for 5 years, and that hospital was about 13,000 square feet smaller than this one, but did probably 3 times the volume. And so and it was built in, I don't know if I can remember, late 60s, I think, about 68, something like that. So anyway, that was what I was used to, what I respected. And I come here and it's just like paradise almost. And so anyway, my impressions have grown after that, and then you start looking for things that you see, you know, there is some growth. And you get up and you start exploring some of these other areas, you know, like I went up to Hauser Heights, I found my way up there, and I thought, wow, you know, nice new community, nice newer homes and things like that. And you look at what's going on with the library, you know, where you see some money being invested, and there's a new brick-faced building that I just saw down towards the other end of town that's coming along. What's that?
A gym.
A gym, yeah. And that's the kind of things that really, you know, make me feel like, hey, this is great. So I've enjoyed it so far, I really have. I think it's a great place. Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Hausberg. Thanks for coming up here. I'm gonna go ahead and just start with some facts, things that I've learned that I just have felt that are very interesting. For one, to have a hospital on a 66 or 65 acre site is absolutely incredible, especially in a small town like this. I mean, I think we've got expansion covered for what, probably the next 300 years would be my guess. So we're really good with that. But you know, it's always better to have more space than not, I think. But I just thought that was quite interesting. Talked a little bit about the square footage. You know, we again, even with our current structure, have room to do a lot more than we're currently doing. You know, we'll be exploring that, as I mentioned, in the next year to come about the best way to utilize space. We do want to use it smartly to get something out of it so that it's not just sitting there idle. But a lot more to come on that. We have 3 operating rooms. I'm just curious, what does that mean to you guys? It's like, well, does that matter? I actually thought it was very impressive to have 3 operating rooms here. It's more than we need right now, but I'm going to tell you, one of our goals administratively is we really want to fill those operating rooms up. There still are a lot of people who need surgery. There still are a lot of people who don't come here for that surgery. And you know, we have plenty of capacity. I think we do a very good job clinically. Our infection rate, Denise, is incredibly low in the operating room. I mean, it's, again, I always compare this to places I've been to, and we are just exceptional with that. So, you know, that's kind of the things I look for if I'm going to have surgery. I don't want an infection. You know, I want to have a quick recovery. I want to have staff who care about me and will treat me as a, you know, top-level human being, things like that. So that was impressive, again, to me. We're a 25-bed, which means we elected to be a critical access hospital. That's one of the things that is incredibly important to us right now, and that basically means for Medicare and Medicaid patients that we're able to be paid at least a portion of our cost. Right now it's 99% of our cost. So that provides a great deal of assurance that we're able to be here and offer these services for a while. Every year it's talked about whether critical access hospitals will continue to be. I don't spend a lot of time worrying about that, frankly, because we don't know. I do know there's a lot of critical access hospitals in the country, and they're pretty important to me. I find it hard to believe that would go away, but it is critical to us right now. We have 8 emergency department beds, so we have the ability to handle quite a bit of chaos at one time. And we also have 2 physician clinic buildings that we currently lease out. And of course, that's the Whitman Medical Group and to Rockwood Inland Eye. So, any questions or tips on that? I'll just keep going there. It's kind of where we're at. So our mission statement right now is to provide excellent health care for our communities. I'm just curious, this is the interactive part of the presentation. Do we provide excellent health care? I mean, what do you guys think? We had one person say at the strategic planning that they had heard from someone that we're just a Band-Aid station here. I'll have to say, I was offended. I don't like that term.
You have the best vampires in the world. I've used them a lot.
Well, see, that's
Nancy and Jessica.
That's great to hear.
Jessica,
And I think we do.
favorite.
I think we have top notch for a lot of us.
I've had great care.
Thank you.
I had a foot surgery and some different things, and it's always been great.
Well, I'm sure all of you have been connected one way or another. I personally think we do a fantastic job, and I have one slide here where I think I can demonstrate that. But there's a good reason why I think we are able to do what we do, and it has to be with the array of services that we do offer, and then who delivers those services. So again, when I came here, not really knowing what to expect, I knew a little bit about the hospital in Garfield, and thought, well, maybe Colfax is like that. I was glad to find out that I was wrong. And I got that wrong. We are actually at trauma level 5, but I didn't have a chance to correct my slide. But still, we're able to handle a level of trauma. A lot of times we don't want to keep those patients here because it's not in their best interest. And I think that's one of the most important things a hospital can do, is realize what you can do well, and when you can't, you refer it to somebody who can. But we certainly have the ability to initially treat and stabilize well. Imaging. So, we have all of the basic services. We are just getting ready to upgrade our MRI. Jim, what's our timeline on that these days? Bids back in mid-July, we think?
Yeah, hopefully by the end of the year we'll have the project done.
So that will be a real nice thing, because if any of you have used the MRI, it's actually outside, and patients have to be exposed to the weather for a short period of time. It's not an ideal situation. I think it's great that we had MRI here, so don't get me wrong. But we're actually going to bring that inside and upgrade our unit so that we will have state-of-the-art technology here very shortly. So that's a real exciting project. Mammography, I would just be really surprised if none of you have heard that we have 3D mammography. Is there anybody that has heard that? That is one that has just been blasted. We've done a good job of getting that out. But again, we're at the top. We have the best technology, and just such a thing to say for a small hospital. And of course, we do ultrasound and X-ray. On the inpatient side, you're probably familiar with most of those. Transitional care, Denise, I was going to ask if you just have a little blurb to explain that for us.
So our transitional care program is traditionally called a swing bed program. That's where we can transition patients who need a little bit more either extended medical treatment and or rehabilitation treatment that are geared towards going home or back to assisted living. And so we can use their nursing home days under Medicare ruling to help continue with that rehabilitation in the hospital, preparing them to safely transition to home. So we call it transitional care because we believe it's part of that transition back to home. So our goal is to get them back to home health, to adult family home. If they're going to be going to a nursing home, we would not elect to keep them because we don't want to take up their Medicare days here. But it's a program very much geared towards either complex medical that no longer meet inpatient criteria, complex rehabilitation patients, and then we do some extended care for patients with end-of-life pain management type of issues as well under that program.
Thank you. Of course, we have a lab, Tim. Can attest to that. And our surgical services. I mean, this is another thing. I didn't know if that information was out there. I mean, we really have the ability to do many different types of surgery here, and we have some excellent surgeons who work out of our hospital. You're going to see a real increased focus on us getting the word out about what we do, and I also anticipate that we will see some further options in the near future. Trying to bring in some other surgeons perhaps, and maybe some other services that we don't offer now. So very important for the hospital surgical services. And therapies, I can officially say, because I just started my treatment yesterday, that we have a very good therapy facility here. We really do. It is just top notch. The exam room, for example, they're large, they're private. You don't feel like people can hear you next door or outside of a curtain, which is what we had where I came from. It's just very nice, and I think our staff is some of the best around, based on my initial experience. So I said I wanted to show why I think we're good. So one of the things that we look at here is patient harm. And we have 5 levels of patient harm, with 1 being the least and 5 being the greatest. 4 means that something actually happened to the patient that we really wish wouldn't have happened, and there's some reparations or some sort that have to be done. It is patient harm, it really is. We have not had an incident that have reached this level for at least since 2010, and I only went to that point, so it's very possible that it's way beyond that. But to say that you have not had any incidents, I think is amazing. At the other critical hospital I came from, we probably averaged 1 a month, 12 a year. That doesn't, I don't know what that sounds like to you, but it didn't make me feel good. So it's nothing here. So I'm very impressed. Can you tell I'm a little bit impressed with our hospital? Is it coming across? I am. Patient satisfaction. So we send out surveys, and I appreciate the people who take the time to fill those out, because I know we can get surveyed to death, but it's absolutely critical to us to know how we're doing. We have been in the 90s again since 2010, and in 2015, or even raising to another level that we haven't even been to yet. And so our patients seem to really appreciate the care that they're given here. This in particular is focused on inpatient, and we're trying to expand that to outpatient. But what I have seen in the outpatient is actually even higher than the inpatient. And so you guys say we're doing okay. So it seems to be a theme. I wanted to put this up here because if it weren't for these different groups of physicians that we work with, we wouldn't be here. I mean, that's how important they are, and we're very well aware of that. And I do everything I can to help promote these people. I'm just curious, by looking at this list, is there anyone who you don't know that I might be able to provide some information on, or does this make sense to you guys who it is? Because again, I'm trying to make sure that you have a good understanding.
About Insight Diagnostics.
Yeah, that was one I thought might. So what I've learned about Insight is they're a very large pathology group, and we have Dr. Grindelin here, who has been our medical director for
almost a year.
Almost a year. Again, I found him to be a fine individual, but their company is Insight Diagnostics. I think they're based in Spokane. Is that correct? Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And Dr. Morgan Wright was our previous pathologist through Insight, who you may have interfaced with, like maybe a foundation dinner or something.
So they're all important, but these are kind of the ones that we really couldn't do business without them. I also wanted to recognize, though, our other partners, and sometimes these are referred to as our visiting specialists, and you may notice in the Gazette there is a list of phone numbers and services that we offer. So they're not here a whole lot, maybe once, twice, sometimes 4 times a month. But they come down most often from Spokane and see patients here, which I think is a great service. You know, there's just not enough people here to do this where they would establish a full-time practice here, but to have them make that effort, I think is great. And they're from, you know, some fine groups. So I'm kind of switching gears here. Our hospital is not the same as it used to be just a short time ago. We are not as busy in almost all areas. And you can see by looking at these different services that it's negative, it's a loss, if you will, in almost all the areas with the exception of births, and that one can be a little bit misleading just because we don't do that many births here. It's just happened to be a lot of change between those 2 years. So when I first looked at this, I was a bit concerned. I'm just curious, does it concern any of you? And I thought, wow, why are things going down that much? And I'm just curious, what do you guys think? Why do you think our volume might be down? What's changed, Tim?
I think both Pullman Hospital and Whitman have been really pushing hard on the marketing end against each other, and I think there's probably we lose a lot of people.
It's
Yeah.
amazing. I've never seen two places advertise more than here, and I'm talking Prov Everett. I mean, it's amazing. They really hit it hard. So marketing could be one. What do you think? What else might be the reason?
I also think a lot of people commute to work and you start to do business where you work.
So if you're commuting to
partly.
Pullman
Yeah.
or Moscow,
Yeah.
yeah,
I would wonder
then you would
if
do.
that would be.
I know for a fact that happens. Yeah, it certainly does. I think there's another big change too, and I think it's been the shift in healthcare. So we can promote and say, wow, life is great. There's more people with insurance now, and our charity care is going down, and so therefore there should be more business. But I have seen the opposite, and I think Jim would probably agree with this, is that there are more people with insurance, which is, yes, a great thing, especially for catastrophic events. But the deductibles are so high anymore that it really discourages people from getting care, because it is going to come out of your pocket. I got that yesterday, kind of cracked me up as I was leaving therapy. The person at the front said, oh, by the way, none of this is covered. You're going to be on the hook for the whole bill. Thank you to those high deductibles. But it even hit me too. So I personally think that has a lot to do with it. I don't know if that's hit down at all, has it?
Not the extent that it has healthcare, medical and hospitalization.
Yeah, but it really has, and there's quite a few other hospitals that have experienced this too. So we're not alone in it. But I think all those things combined, you have decreased volume. So we even have to do a better job of managing, is what it boils down to. Even though a lot of our patients are covered at cost, we have a significant portion that aren't, and we have to do a good job with that. So even though our growth is down, we have been able to turn positive margins, 2010 through 2014. 2015 so far, and this is through April, has been a little tougher for us. We're currently running at a negative margin. We anticipate that that's going to start turning around. A lot of this has had to do with an EMR, electronic medical record, that we've implemented, because it's taken a ton of resource to put that in, and millions of dollars to do that. And it's the training and all of the additional staff you have to bring on to do it. And so it's made it tougher, but I'm very optimistic that we can turn that around. And one way of looking at this is I could be very thankful that it's only 1.1%, because it could be worse. Anyway, so that's kind of an overview of what's going on at the hospital. At some point in the future, I might get a chance, I hope, to talk to you about the new things that we'd like to start doing, but again, it'd be premature to do that without the strategic planning committee having formally done the work that they need to do. Again, I just would ask, are there any other questions or things you'd like to say? That's about what I had as a presentation today. No? Well, thank you for the opportunity to speak to you, and thank you for coming to grab lunch up at our place. We appreciate it.